grandmother, she came from the South, deeper South, it's Georgia, Cuthbert, Georgia.
My grandmother came from Caroline County, Virginia, and they owned land and they owned a store there. And then they moved to D.C. And I know
These high school students in Washington, D.C. are studying the Great Migration, the exodus of more than 6 million African Americans from the rural South to big cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Washington. And the students are discovering that they are children of the Great Migration themselves.
When I talk with my grandmother, I hope to find out her experience coming here, especially during that period of time where there was a lot of racial unrest, and how she handled it and how her family handled it, and the differences, I guess, between the South and the North.
Teacher Cosby Hunt's class is called Real World History, and the idea is that students do their own exploration firsthand. They'll be talking to people who took part in the Great Migration.
They're going to be making an argument about the importance of these people's lives. So a lot of what they will retell will be just that, retelling, but in the process of retelling, they're making an argument about the importance of these people and where they fit into the grand scheme of the Great Migration and American history. Okay, now, some of you have already been assigned people and have already gotten cracking. Some of you, rather than assign you to one person, I'm just going to give you a church.
Mr. Hunt has asked each student to interview someone who came north during the Great Migration. For most of his students, this will be the first time they've ever interviewed anyone. So Mr. Hunt starts with the basics.
You're going to call that church, and they're going to give you a plethora of people to choose from, perhaps. So we got to practice what happens when you make that phone call. Let's see. All right, Jerusalem. Bring, bring, bring. Shiloh Baptist Church. Praise the Lord. How can I help you?
Hey, this is Jerusalem from oral history class. World history class.
We're gonna start again now. Rebel asked a good question. Do they know about you? They don't know me.
They know nothing what we're doing.
That's right. So that's okay. So you are a high school student. You can tell them where you go to school, and you can tell them the name of your class or not. You can tell them it's your high school student and you're working on a project. Okay. Bring. Shiloh Baptist Church. Praise the Lord.
This is Jerusalem Magayo from Real World History class.
How are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Amazing. Thank you.
I wanted to ask if I can interview people for a topic, Great Migration.
Oh, you want to interview members of our church?
Yes.
One or more than one?
Just one, please.
Okay. About what, sweetheart?
It's about the Great Migration.
Oh, what's that?
That's what African Americans moved from the south to the north.
Oh, we have a few of those. Okay. So do you want to come to the church or?
So I want to come to the church and interview them personally.
Oh, all right. Well, let me talk to the pastor. And do we have a number where we can reach you after I've talked to the pastor?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay.
Once they've practiced their phone skills, Mr. Hunt plays them part of an interview that one student has done already.
Okay. Let's listen to Ms. Roberts. We're going to take some notes, and then we're going to sort of switch to some photographs. Mary Elizabeth Roberts.
My name is Mary Elizabeth Roberts. I moved to the district in the Washington area in 1958. There was still some segregation here. I remember making an appointment with a dentist because I had a huge toothache, and I got the appointment, but when I showed up at the office and they saw that I was black, the woman behind the desk said, "I'm very sorry, but we don't treat black people." And I was shocked. I really was. But I walked out and I thought, okay, that's, another thing in the book of experience. And I was able to find a dentist, after I checked around. So there was still segregation and prejudice is what I remember most.
It's very interesting to me because I've never really talked to anyone from the Great Migration, and I'm learning a lot that they've went through that I've never had to go through.
Okay, we know she's from Waynesboro. Virginia. We know that she was 19 when she came to D.C., but I'm trying to get a better picture of what Waynesboro was like.
Now that the students are inspired to learn more, Mr. Hunt has them use photos from the 40s, 50s, and 60s to help them generate more questions for their interviews.
I could go to Google and type in Waynesboro. That's gonna be a mess if I do that. All right, so here I am at the Library of Congress website that all of you are going to be using when you get to the back station. Tyrone, if you wanted to learn more about Waynesboro, Virginia in the 1940s and 1950s, and you were at the Library of Congress site, what might you do?
I might go to the historic newspaper or American Mirror
Good. Okay. All right. And I've asked you to write a question about each photograph that you would want to ask your interviewee. So what are we looking for? Washington.
DC.
When?
1950s, 1960s.
Okay. So first of all, let's see if there are any collections that might help us.
No.
No, we did this. Remember?
Okay. Let's try this one on for size. National Photo Company Collection.
That's in DC?
Oh my goodness, the National Photo Company Collection documents virtually all aspects of Washington, D.C. That was a lucky guess. I swear I didn't know that. It just seemed like they would have a bunch of pictures. Okay, all right. So now, you should probably keep reading this intro and see if it's going to get you to the 50s and 60s. If it's not, then it is a dead end. Okay.
At any age you could get a job if you were like
Yeah, because they were kind of young.
Yeah.
Other students are relying on print photos to help come up with questions.
Now what you can do is, y'all can read if you read the caption on the photo, you may not actually get that answer, but you can figure out this time period.
School children.
With my photo, it's actually
What do you want to ask about your photo?
during this wartime, during this time of war, what made African Americans and Caucasians come together? Because
What was the breaking point?
yeah, what was that turning point to say, hey, we have to come together and we have to all, we have to fight for African Americans?
Is that your question or your question you're asking me?
No, that's my question.
I think taking this class definitely helped emphasize the importance of first-hand accounts. So not just relying on the textbook and more secondary sources, but also relying on actual, firsthand, actually going to those people and talking to them about those experiences. It definitely makes a difference.
So we used your voices, and we talked about Wilkerson's book. We used photographs, and we looked at Washington during World War II in the 40s. We used photographs and the internet and the Library of Congress to look for photographs of the 50s and 60s.
I do like the fact that I am learning more about being a historian, and that I'm actually getting the practice of it. It's actually opened my eyes to a different view of history.